Welcome back, everybody. In this follow-up of episode 1 of Good Game, I thought I'd tell you a little bit more about myself. My name is Richard Terrell, and I got the name KrazyKirbyKid from some of the founders of the Smash community way back in 2002. For that story, just visit this link. But Smash is my favorite game ever. And since day one of Smash 64, I've been a super fan. Early in Melee's life, I was there training for tournaments and playing with friends. I played Melee before it became the Melee that many know and love today. And just check out this video I put together showing the years of Melee's metagame development. I go way back. So now I'm a big fan of Brawl, and each game represents a big part of my gaming life, and I feel that each deserves to be appreciated for their good qualities and understood for their shortcomings. I got a lot of feedback from the first episode, a lot of good feedback. So I wanted to say that whenever I get feedback that is contrary to what I think or know, I always try to figure out where the problem stems from. First, I assume that most people that I encounter are actually quite knowledgeable, intelligent, and or reasonable. So if somebody comes across as extreme or completely wrong, there's probably a simple reason for it. And I'm willing to bet that the most common reason is a language issue. After all, games don't come with handbooks that give us the perfect language to describe them. In the same way that we had to create our own community from the ground up, we had to do the same for our language. Fortunately, I think I've gone ahead and did a lot of the hard work, so it's just a matter of getting on the right page at this point. So from the feedback, there are two big things that I wanted to clear up before moving on to episode number 2. The first is that for those who are upset that there is an apparent bias in the first 3 myths that I presented in episode 1, myths 1.1, 1.2, and 1.3, and if you detect a little bit of bias that the myths are defending Brawl while making Melee supporters look bad, I wanted to clarify that these myths were taken from several different contributors who are both the various combinations of Brawl and Melee supporters. So these myths came from Brawl people, Melee people, and Brawl and Melee people. So because these ideas were so widespread among all these different types of gamers, I wanted to address them up front. So I don't think you can necessarily say that they make Melee players look bad or Brawl players look good. It's just that Smashers in general think these things, and I felt like it would be more difficult to move on unless we got those points of clarity out of the way first. So the second point I wanted to make is how I address different statements, arguments, and points. I think the only way that I could move on and proceed is by looking at the language and the language only. A lot of times people think that they're communicating more than they are because of how they feel and the intent they think is behind the words. I got a lot of feedback from people who were upset that I didn't go deeper into the myths in episode 1. However, the myths based on the printed statements are quite shallow. There's lots of emotion, intent, and deeper issues behind the people who made them, but not in the statements themselves, or the statements. So I assure you that we'll get to the bottom of the design of both Brawl and Melee, so in the meantime, hang tight. But as far as interpreting what people feel and think from the statements they make, I really am not the right kind of person to assume such a thing, so I'm going by the printed text only. So just keep in mind that for the rest of the webisode series, I'm not really going to be conscious of the Brawl side or the Melee side. Because I'm such a big Smash fan, I just think of it all under one gigantic roof. And there are some things that some people need to understand better, whether they play Brawl or Melee, so I'm going to address and dig through each issue as thoroughly as possible. Keep sending me your feedback for every episode via the YouTube comments, my blog messenger, my email, which can be found on my blog about page, Smashboards, and soon my Facebook page. And I'll continue to make follow-up videos after every episode addressing any new issues that come up or to clarify things further. I've reached some common ground of clarity with almost everyone who has responded so far. So for proof, check out the Smashboards Melee discussion here on the link. And though we've only begun, I think we've earned a few GGs already. And that's all I could really ask for.